Hi, this is Cindy from the Paper Studio. Today we're going to make kind of a fun little decorative piece that we're going to use some Japanese yuzen and some very thin translucent Japanese paper, or you can use a thin tissue paper or an unruyu paper, and then if you hang it by your window, light will go through it. They're just kind of fun. You can use them for holidays, for weddings, for all kinds of occasions, for birthdays, or just to have as a decorative element in your house. They're very simple to make, and they don't take a lot of materials. So basically you're going to start with paper towel holder, inside core of your paper towels. You need some Japanese paper or some decorative paper. We're going to use this thin translucent Japanese paper. You can see through it. For this one here, I used a thin unruyu paper, which is like a tissue paper with big strands through it. So when you hold it through to the light, you can see all the fiber in the pink part, strands. And then this one is, we're going to use this paper here. They're really pretty. You can see the decorative paper on the sides, and then again you can see the translucent paper. You can add a decorative element. This one says peace and joy, so you could hang it up for the holidays, or you could do some kind of fun whimsical piece. You could also put someone's photo in there, put a little page pebble over it. There's lots of possibilities what you could do with these. You can make them two-sided, one-sided, hang them, all kinds of fun things. So to get started, you need a paper towel tube, and what I did is I cut it at 6 inches, and you're going to just cover it with your decorative paper. I'm using PVA glue. It's a bookbinding adhesive, really easy to work with. I'm just going to squirt it out, kind of brush it on, and I'm going to start laying my paper on it. I like to use the Japanese papers, one, because they're really easy to work with, and two, the patterns are just absolutely gorgeous. And the patterns are small too, so that when you're doing a project like this, when you cut it, these slices, you still can see the pattern. Sometimes when you're using really big patterns, once you start cutting into them down to a ½ an inch, you kind of lose the feeling of what the print is. So when you're looking at papers, kind of keep that in mind, that you're going to cut them into very thin slices, so you want to be able to see what it is. So again, I'm just going to wrap this tube. It gets kind of flat when you cut it, so that's okay, because it starts to form the shape of a petal anyways. And what I did notice is there's definitely differences in tube thickness. Some tubes are very thick, some not so thick. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover this. I'm going to let this dry. Last bits of pieces here. Okay, so you're going to cover your tube up. Again, you can use really any kind of paper. It doesn't have to be Japanese paper, but I love the Japanese paper, so I tend to use those a lot. And again, whatever paper you use, you need to make sure your patterns are small enough so that when you cut them, that you'll be able to see them. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. So once it is dry, you're going to slice it into ½ inch slices. So this is the tube, this, and we're sliced it into ½ inch pieces. So you're going to do, for these flowers, I have 6 of them. So if you start with a 6 inch tube, you're going to be able to do 2 flowers, so because you're going to get 12 slices. So once you do this, once you have this piece, you're going to take your glue. Well, a couple of things. If you're going to use something really, really thin and translucent like this, you're going to be able to see that brown through the tissue. This one you can't, the red one, the raspberry color, you can't really see it. So what I did with this one is I actually kind of patted it in a little bit of ink, because I didn't really want that dark brown to show through. So that way it kind of presents a lighter shade. But if your tissue is dark, it's probably not going to matter, because I didn't do it with the raspberry color one. So you're going to take all your little pieces, you're going to just line them up. I would recommend that you put them on some wax paper, and that way they won't stick to your table. And you can just let them dry. So go ahead and just do a bunch of them. Set them aside to dry. You're going to do one side And when that's dry, I find it easier, I'm going to go ahead and demo this, to cut them, to do one side first before I do the other side. So we'll just imagine this is dry. So we'll just say that's dry. Then I would go ahead and glue the side. Although when I've been in a hurry, I just go ahead and do one side, stick it down, do the other side, stick it down. So I'm going to do both sides, let it dry, set it down. So it takes a few minutes to dry. Here's an example of one that's got both of them done on it. And again, you need to kind of have some sharp scissors when you're trimming this, because you got to trim in close. So I tend to use small little sharp scissors, little kind of edge scissors, rather than my big scissors I normally use, just because I want to come in nice and close. These are really sharp scissors, so don't cut yourself. It doesn't matter really what brand you use. I use Fiskars, I use Tonic scissors, whatever I have handy. I tend to get the no stick scissors because I'm always cutting things that I've glued, so that way the glue doesn't stick. So here's what a finished petal looks like. So you're going to have 6 of those, and what you're going to do is you're going to line them up. You're going to line up 6 of them, you're going to have them touching each other, and you're going to put glue right on the edges here and here. Let me grab another one and cut it. I'm going to cut it. So you're going to take your 6 different pieces and you're going to start lining them up till they form a flower. So you're going to put glue. You got to kind of put it down a little bit further because it's going to have to touch each other. So you're going to set that on wax paper and let it dry. Once it's dry, then you can go ahead and add a decorative element. And this piece here actually helps hold the whole thing together as well, because they are being held together, you know, as they touch each other, but the centerpiece actually gives it a little stronger foundation. I found that they're just stronger once you add the centerpiece. So I used a cardstock. You could cut it in a circle pattern, you could cut it in a star pattern, really any way you want. And then I just used a small punch to make a little circle there. It's really up to you, just kind of aesthetically what you want to do. And then I went ahead and I just poked a hole with an awl at the top and added some wire so I could hang it at the top on this one. Did the same kind of on this one. You can get all kind of crazy and add wire and beads, which is what's really fun about these. You could add all kinds of other decorative elements to these. So they're really fun to do. They're really easy. They make great gifts. They could make great wedding favors, great birthday party, you know, elements, and just great decorative pieces to have around your house. But they're fun to do. You can recycle your paper towel holders and have fun doing them.